I'm Noah Weeder with ATM Depot. This is Jeremy Cammey with ATM Depot. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about cash flow and how to maximize your profits. And make sure you don't keep enough. Make sure you're not keeping too much money in the machine. And a little bit of security information. And what you can expect on holidays for settlement days. And managing cash alerts. So with that, I'll let Jeremy take it away.
Sure. So, today I want to talk a little bit about some of the really cool features that are available to you on ATM Portal. That's our monitoring website, so you can view your real-time transactions and set up some alerts so that you know when your machine is getting low on cash. Make sure that you have the option in ATM Portal to the cash management menu. That's on the top on the blue or red bar. And if you don't see that option in your menu, then certainly shoot us over an email and let me know, and we'll make sure we get you the access that you need. Basically, managing your cash volume in the machine is pretty easy. You just want to set up your thresholds, and depending on how much cash you keep in there and how far away you are from the location, you can set up your thresholds at $1,000 or even $500.
So why don't you explain a little bit about what setting up threshold means? Like, okay, so let's say I set up a $500 threshold, and now the machine has $600 in it, and somebody takes out $120, and now it has $480. What happens?
Depending on how you set it up, you'll get an email or a text message.
So you got to make sure you set it up for one or the other or both?
That's right. You can set it up to both, and you can set up multiple alerts so that you and maybe your partner or store manager also gets an alert, so you both know exactly how much cash is in the machine and how much time you've got left.
So if you have one machine but you're not on site and you have a manager that's responsible and you want to keep track and make sure he's always loading the cash so that you're not out of money, because if you're out of money, you're losing surcharge revenue, and B, the people in your store, when they want to get cash, are going to be a little upset because they might be used to using your machine, and then you're also losing out on the after ATM use sales of people having that additional cash in their pocket to spend in your store. So that's why cash management is so important. You want to keep enough cash in there so that you keep customers happy, but you don't want to put too much cash in there so that it's tying up your cash flow. So that's where the text alerts and the message alerts to both your email and your cell phone work well. Now, if you're managing several machines, like us, if it's dozens of machines or even 2 or 3 machines, and you have more than just yourself managing the cash, if you have a manager or several people managing cash, you can set up all the alerts that you need by machine type or by location so that you know, and then the person loading cash will know when it's time to get cash. And setting the limits high enough so that you know what your run rate is, giving you enough time to get to the bank to get the cash. You don't want to set an alert at $100, because if your average withdrawal is 60 or 80 bucks and you set the cash alert at $100, you're not going to be alerted in time to get to the bank and then get to the machine to load it before it runs out.
That's right. And you certainly don't want to have an upset customer calling you to tell you that your machine's out of money, and you don't want to lose any customers.
Now, the balance that's in the machine when you set up the alert is actually the money left in the cassette, right? It doesn't include the reject bin.
That is correct.
So that's another consideration. If you, on average, load $1,000 or $2,000 every few days or once a week, if you don't go through your bills, or if there's some bills torn or dog-eared, and sometimes we even take some extra precaution. If the machine is far away, you want to make sure the bills are in pristine condition so you're not getting a lot of rejects, so you're not wasting your time. So even a little piece of Scotch tape can fix bills up, right? Why don't you could talk a little bit about that?
Sure. You want to make sure that the machine is not going to have to the possibility of having a jam with a bill that, if it's torn halfway or 3/4 of the way, it could split when it's going through the rollers, and that could cause a jam. So if you see those types of bills, it's always a good idea to maybe put a little piece of tape on it and fasten it up so it's nice and firm.
Or if you're still at the bank, just exchange those for better bills. But if you're working with a bank that knows you're using this cash for ATM machines, hopefully they'll be responsible and get you, better bills. We've gone through quite a few banks, and Bank of America and Wells Fargo are really no longer working with ATM businesses. If you just have one machine, that really know or care, because you're only taking out $2,000 every week or so, it's not going to really raise any flags. But if you're loading 10 or 12 machines and you're loading each one with $1,000 to $3,000, and you have to go to the bank and get $10,000 every week or so, you're going to want to tell the bank what you're doing, so that it doesn't raise any flags and stop doing, and they pressure you to either stop doing business with them that way or force you to find another bank, which is what happens in the beginning. What happened with us in the beginning. Bank of America didn't really know what we were doing. When it came to light, we were forced to find another bank. Wells Fargo was working with us for a while, but inevitably we landed at US Bank, and they seem to be great. It does take a while to set up the account, to go through all the correct processes in the banking system, but that's only if you're loading a lot of machines. What else do we have on the agenda today, Jeremy?
I also wanted to talk a little bit about having some extra cash around, especially over a holiday weekend, or even a long weekend, just so that, you're not short-handed when, you're having a busy weekend at the machine and you don't run out of cash.
Yeah, it's always good to have a little bit extra cash, whether you have a small safe at home or just a place to keep. Even if it's just $1,000 in 20s, it's only $50, $20 bills. It's not that difficult to store that somewhere in a safe place, just for emergencies. Or you can also get a ATM card for your account that you use to fill your ATM machine, and then you can always go to the ATM, your bank's ATM, to take their ATM cash out to fill your ATM machine with. Some banks limit your withdrawal when you set up a new account, $300. Some banks like Chase, I think it's automatic $500. I think US Bank is $300 or $500. But you can also get them to increase that on a per account basis. So you can designate one account where you may want to say, okay, I want this card to be able to take $1,000 out. So in an emergency on a Sunday, let's say, if you are getting low on cash because you didn't expect your machine to run out, maybe you loaded it Friday, but you had a big event on a Saturday that you weren't aware of, and the machine runs low. Then Sunday you're out of cash, and the money may not be back in the bank yet because it's not a banking day. Got to remember, settlement funds only happen on banking days. And our settlement time is?
It's 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern daily.
So what that means is your machine automatically settles funds. Anybody that withdrew money prior to 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Pacific time, and figure out your own time zone. So obviously East Coast is 4 o'clock. So any funds that came out of the machine prior to the settlement time are going to be deposited into the bank the very next business day. So it goes through the Federal Reserve, and then the Federal Reserve deposits the funds, and your bank should acknowledge that in the morning, overnight. When they come in the morning, that money should be in your account. So if on the West Coast, from 1 o'clock Monday to 1 o'clock Tuesday, those funds go into the bank on Wednesday, right?
Exactly.
So what else?
Well, you also want to make sure that you're not accidentally pushing back your settlement date. There's a lot of times where, people would prefer to actually set their date so that they're not having the automatic day total at 1 o'clock Pacific every day. So if you do want to change your day total, you can change it at the machine level by doing a day close, and that would actually push back your settlement date 24 hours, but it would close out on the time that you've chosen.
So you would have to do that every day.
That's correct.
If you don't do that every day, it reverts to what it was after the 24-hour period.
That's right.
So if you want this funds to settle when you close, say, at 9 o'clock at night, just remember you're pushing anything that was taken out of your machine. If you're on the West Coast prior to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're pushing that settlement back. If you do push day close on Monday night at 9 o'clock when you close your store, for example, funds that were taken out at noon are not going to be in your account on Tuesday because you push day close. That's going to push all the settlement to Wednesday. But it's going to be that full day. So on Tuesday, you'll catch up. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you keep doing that, it'll keep track. So it's just an extra step. We don't find it necessary, but some clients like to do that day close when they close at night. They just need to be aware that they're pushing their day back.
Exactly.
Okay. What else? Bank holidays. I know we talked a little bit about bank holidays, but you got to remember that if there's a holiday on a Friday and a Monday, or if it's just a Friday, funds aren't going into the bank on Friday. So any cash that was taken out of your account, out of your machine prior to 1 p.m. on a Thursday, for example, if you're on the West Coast, are not going to be deposited Friday because it's a holiday. That pushes it all back to Monday. So that's why you need a little extra cushion and have a little extra cash that day.
That way you don't get into a bind and you're not having any troubles being short-handed when you really need to put some cash in the machine.
Exactly. Exactly. All good information. Do you want to talk a little bit about match-up settlement deposits using Portal?
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, and that's a really helpful report to have available to you right at your fingertips. One of the reports that you can run on ATM Portal is a daily terminal activity report. That report gives you the option of plugging in your date range, and you can run the report and see exactly what your settlement deposits were per day. And you can match them up with the deposits that go into your bank account. So you can actually run that full report, see exactly how much cash is put into your account, and then you can run your bank account statement, and you can match everything up, and you can see exactly how much cash you've gone through and how much was deposited on a daily basis. And that way there's no surprises.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think that wraps up today's broadcast. Stay tuned for, we're going to try and do these every couple of times a month, maybe once a week if we can. This is our first one. This is our first one that worked. We did one earlier that had some technical difficulties. If you're watching that one, we apologize. But we are going to talk a little bit about EMV, so join us next time for European MasterCard regulations that are coming to the U.S., because that's going to affect a lot of things having to do with if someone disputes a transaction. So I'm Noah Weeder.
I'm Jeremy.
And we're with ATM Depot. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.